Reimagining Public Safety Summer Grants awarded earlier this year. I am Councilmember Emmanuel V, Chair of the Public Safety Committee. I would also like to thank and acknowledge my co-chair for this public hearing, Council President Shannon Hardin. Acknowledge my colleagues, Councilmember Bankston and Councilmember Favor, as they join us this evening. Council President, would you like to share your opening remarks at this time?
Thank you, Chair Remy. Just want to add my appreciation to you for your leadership in calling this hearing. It's really important that we come back together. It's kind of crazy that it's been almost 2 years since this council started the Reimagining Safety process, and that centered on making sure that we're using every tool in the toolbox and thinking outside the box and being creative and calling on all of our residents, all of our communities, all of our organizations to be a part of seeing themselves and making Columbus safer. And so over the last several months, what we worked on as a council in partnership with the administration is making sure that qualified organizations with a track record of working with our young people in our community had the resources that they say they needed to do the work in our community to keep our kids safe. And so I'm excited to be here this evening to hear about the progress, to learn what worked, maybe and hear things that maybe didn't work, and then understand where we can go from here. Acknowledging that we know that there is not one simple solution when we're talking about safety and violence. I think that a week like this week, where we lost lovely Kendrick, is just another reminder that it's going to take all of us, and that there aren't the simple solutions. But I truly believe that the work that has been done with folks in this chamber tonight have saved lives. And like I said earlier today, it is easy to quantify the violent incidents that have happened. What is harder to quantify are the incidents that organizations that we have funded over the last several months stopped from happening. But I think that we will hear tonight, and we will try to put color to that conversation, so that it will inform how this council moves forward in terms of support. So again, Chair Remy, I'm very grateful to be here tonight.
Thank you very much, Council President. I do want to say it takes all of us to stack hands and to really dig in and dive deep in this, as we see more and more youth involved in criminal activity and being victims of crime. And so, unfortunately, events like the other night on Reeb Avenue earlier in the week and the others where we're going after suspects that are 12 years old, I mean, it is something that we need to come together as a community. We need to work very judiciously together to make sure that we are covering all the bases and taking examples like you've created with your summer youth programs and carrying them out throughout the year, because our youth deserve this. And as I said last night on one interview, we will do what it takes to make sure that this community feels safe, period, dot, exclamation point. And we need all of you as partners to do that. So we thank you for being here this evening. I would like to open it up to my colleagues for any opening remarks. Do either of you have anything that you'd like to say? Councilmember Bankston.
Sure. Thank you, Chair Remy and President Hardin. And to all of you for being here. I think what I'm most excited about with this round of funding and the names that I see on here is everything from established organizations to grassroots organizations. And to your point, Councilmember Remy, it's going to take all of us working together. And so I'm really excited to hear what has worked. And I think more importantly, and why we do these types of exercises, is that when something doesn't work, that's an opportunity, right, for us to figure out how we get it right. And that's, I think, our job is to unapologetically invest in our youth and make sure that we do get it right. So I'm excited about the conversation that we will have today. Unfortunately, I do have to leave early, so I apologize in advance. But thank you all for the tireless, sometimes thankless, hard, and in some cases even dangerous work that you all do for our community and for the city. But looking forward to working with you together to continue to move our city forward and to make sure that it is a safe place for everyone, but especially that it's a safe place for our next generation, and that they have an opportunity to grow up in a city that values and cares about them and has opportunities available to them. So thank you so much, Councilmember Remy, for your leadership, and looking forward to tonight's discussion.
Thank you very much, Councilman Banks, and I turn it over now to Councilmember Favor.
Thank you, Chair Remy, and my remarks are just an expression of gratitude. I have worked and had the opportunity to work with many of you, provide support in any way that I can, and I just want to say thank you for the work that you continue to do in our community on behalf of our young folks, on behalf of our parents and guardians that may not be in a place where they can support their young folks. It truly does take a village, and you all are a part of our village. And so we appreciate the accountability. We appreciate the push when we need that push. And so we cannot do this work without you. We will continue this work around reimagining safety. It is not words that just have no meaning. And so from the policy and legislative perspective, you can continue to see progressive ideas around how we can address the youth violence in our community. But thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for dedicating your lives to our young people.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Favor. I also want to acknowledge my colleague, Councilmember Rosa de Padilla, who's online. Want to open up the opportunity for her to speak if she has anything to say before we begin the proceedings.
Thank you, Councilmember. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yep, we hear you.
I just want to join in my colleagues in saying thank you. I think, you know, as folks who work with young people, and if you are a parent, if you were once a young person, as many of us had the benefit of being, it's always a critical time, I think. And I think especially now our young people have faced so much through a pandemic and after a pandemic, and facing a new world that has increasing challenges for our young people. And, I've never liked that term at risk, because I think every young person is at risk, because a young person is bombarded with choices and options and opportunities, and it's about steering them in the right direction to make the right choices for themselves, for their families, for their community. And so there's no greater time for us to come together, for us to be creative, for us to think intentionally about the work that we do to support our young people and to support our community. And so, like I said, I echo my colleagues in there. Thank you for your work, for the folks who have dedicated, their time, their talent, their treasure, their lives to this work, because it is soul work, and it is passion work, and it is hard, and it's hard to stay in this fight. But as we all know, it is worth it, because it is the future of our community. So thank you, and looking forward to hearing from all of our speakers this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Rosa de Padilla. This is a challenging hearing in the sense that we're going to hear all the great things that you've done over the summer, but it's somewhat hard to quantify the crimes that were not committed because of your work. But any rational person would know that if we don't invest in this, and if we don't take the time to support your programming, that crime could be exponentially worse than it is today with our youth. And so, again, we appreciate all you, and we look forward to your testimony. A reminder to everyone that this hearing is currently live on YouTube and Facebook, and is also being live and recorded for rebroadcast on CTV, Columbus's government television channel. The rebroadcast schedule is available at www.columbus.gov. Before we begin, I want to thank and welcome each of you that are our presenters this evening. We have Pastor Norman Brown from Gyre Development Corporation, Bear Davis from Urban Lacrosse Academy, Melissa Thomas St. Clair from the Mothers of Murdered Children, Dominic Davis and Keith Massey from Legacy Youth Sports, Erica Golick and Heaven Angel and Naya Branham from the Cheer Institute, Shannon Amos and Scott Neely from Children's Hunger Alliance, Sean Stevenson, the End the Violence founder, Zerka Abid from My Project USA, John Dawson for Community for New Direction, Miguel Gino Tucker from Remember Us Urban Scouts, and Jenna Wojak from Planned Parenthood. I'm going to ask everybody to keep it as close to 3 minutes as possible. We have a lot of people to get through, and we want to make sure that we give everybody an equal amount of time to get through this hearing. I just want to level set and say that Columbus City Council and the City of Columbus are committed to supporting our youth and ending violence throughout our community. One method was through the support of youth anti-violence programming. Earlier this year, the city invested roughly $16 million into summer youth programming. This evening, we will hear from several of our partners that we supported to engage our youth. They will provide a quick overview of the program and programming successes. Without further ado, I will turn the floor over to each of you. As a reminder, to our presenters, please keep your presentations at 3 minutes or as close to that as possible. So I will call up Pastor Norman Brown as our first speaker. Up next beyond that is Bear Davis. Pastor.
Councilman Remy, we appreciate the opportunity to share. We realized I'm a preacher, so I'll do the best I can, sir. My mother taught me many years ago in my upbringing to make sure we give thanks to those people who've been gracious and kind to me and to my brother. So this evening, I want to say thank you, Councilman Remy, and all the city council members for your support in the work that we're doing in the Near East Side community. JHR Development Corporation is a faith-based nonprofit organization where we work with youth, veterans, and restored citizens. For the last 5 years, we've been working with a charter school where we have established a construction trades program because I have my own architectural firm and construction management company. And so we were able to work with your support to enable 15 young people from a charter school to get employment during the summer. And we had and all these were students from this particular charter school at Afrocentric, at the Academy for All Scholars. We were also, because we do urban farming, we have 3 sites and that we work with, and we were able to get 15 young people from 2 high schools that we taught them how to do urban farming, to grow fresh produce. So through the construction trades program, all 15 youth that we taught, they got employment. 5 of them were graduate. 2 of them were working permanently for Jess Howard Electric, and 3 other of those are working permanently for other construction companies. And some of those were juniors where they're coming back for more training and more opportunity in employment. Through the urban farming program, we were able to teach our young people to grow fresh produce, to give back to the community and get their hands dirty and learn the culture of developing their community as a whole. And we were able to do that working with the 15 young people, and it was extremely successful. Word got to Linda McKinley High School, which is an ag school. They heard about what we've been doing in the community, and because of your support and because of our track record, now we're having a conversation on how we can bring the same program of urban farming to extend their teaching and their learning regarding agriculture, urban farming, and fresh produce giving to their own communities. And so, Councilman Hardin, you know I have a youth program called Simba and Simsa for African-American males and females. And we're also talking to Linda McKinley about bringing that program into the school as well. So again, we thank you for your support. And it reminds me of a young man who was a senator in Illinois. The name was Barack Obama, where he shared with the United States stating that we are the change that we're looking for. If we want to see the change in our community and our city, we're the ones who got to make it happen. Thank you again for your support.
Thank you so much, Pastor. We know how important your program is, especially as it relates to farming and getting kids acclimated to providing greater food resources. Are there any comments? President Shannon Hardin.
Thank you, Chair. This is not one thank you to Pastor Norman. It's not a question, more of a comment generally. As Pastor Norman was saying, thank you to council. We would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge where a majority of these resources came from. These are out of the $16 million that we put forward. That's an historic investment in community-based programming, and it would not have been possible without the American Rescue dollars. And so I want to say thank you to Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, who worked extremely hard to get these dollars, to Senator Sherrod Brown, who worked extremely hard to get these dollars. That is what allowed us to have these to do this type of programming. So if we're saying thank you to where the resources came from, it was through the American Rescue dollars and the money that council set aside a year ago for reimagining public safety. But I just wanted to make that acknowledgement.
Thank you very much, President Hardin. Appreciate you, Pastor Brown. Our next speaker is Bear Davis, and after that is Melissa Thomas St. Clair. Welcome, Mr. Davis.
I don't know where the slides show up on here. Is it just in front of me? Does everybody see that? Oh, okay. Oh, perfect. Okay, thank you. Well, President Hardin and council, thank you for inviting me up here to represent Urban Lacrosse Academy. The last time I stood up here was 2017, representing the 2017 Major League Lacrosse champions, Ohio Machine, as the general manager head coach. And I would say since that day, this has been a true passion, is what can I do, as Muhammad Ali once said in an interview, when you're all said and done at this, what are you going to do? And he goes, if I don't take my experiences and my talents and my connections and do something good with it, what am I here for? And that's how I took that to heart and became the executive director of Urban Lacrosse Academy. These are the pillars that we stand on. These are the things, as I was given a stick, many of us were given opportunities outside of the classroom that helped us, that were our drivers, to be where we are, be successful people. And we took these respect, determination, goal setting, and integrity. And these are things that we implement in all of our practice settings. This summer, with your gracious grants and the money that we had to work with, we serviced over 400, we put sticks in over 400 kids' hands. We worked with 12 different sites. One of the things that we do is we don't just go out and do things for a picture. It's more sustainable lacrosse. And I think what has happened in the past is some people have had good intentions with introducing this game, which I think, if you're not familiar with lacrosse, is generally a suburban game that is played in our suburbs and has a lot of cost to it. And with this grant, we were able to break down those costs, get quality coaching, and build sustainable opportunities. Our children this year were able to participate at a recreational level where we go into the camps once a week. They got to, if they liked it, we were able to offer them a competitive level where they then were able to go to our academy programming, where we served, this past spring, we had 25 second through fifth grade graders on our academy team, where they were able to compete against the likes of the Bexleys, the Pickeringtons, the New Albanys, and so on. Now what we have done since that spring, those kids are now competing in a box league, which is indoor lacrosse. They are competing at a very high level where we're getting feedback from people that are telling us that these kids can play lacrosse. I was like, absolutely they can. They just couldn't before because they didn't know how to or where to get their equipment. And you guys obviously have helped us break down that barrier. Our off-field focus is also really, we're looking at attendance. We're looking at literacy. We're looking at ways to build enrichment programs where we can also make lacrosse a driver to help in those areas. One of the things that we've done is we've added Mr. Tyree Pollard to our board, and he's currently in Columbus City Schools, and he's in charge of attendance there. Something to help us how we can figure out how sport can help our attendance behaviors. And then also our meetings, a lot of our meetings will take place at our public libraries where our academy players will get their public, they'll get their library cards, and we'll work in those areas off the field as well. But we are very pleased to announce that we're moving forward. I will show, there's a lot of numbers on here, so I don't make sure these are some of the students that I can send this impact report to anybody that's interested. I know we have limited time, but probably one of the things I wanted to make sure that people that we've been able to serve this year with your grant has been anywhere from Columbus City Schools, and I'm not going to read all through those, but you can see we have some incredible groups. So I'm excited about that, and it's going to keep growing. Thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your support and the work that you've done in this regard. I'd like to hear about the attendance piece of it, although a lot of this was over the summer. Some concerns that I know that I've had is notification of attendance at school to both parents and to organizations like yourselves. I think there's a little bit of work to be done to ensure that there is notification that students are skipping school or there's issues there. So appreciate you bringing that point up. Thank you very much. Our next person is Melissa from Mothers of Murdered Children. We appreciate you and all the support that you give in this regard. I told you on Friday, love to support you, but I wish I didn't have to. But we definitely thank you for the work that you do and appreciate your testimony tonight.
Thank you, Council President Hardin, and to all of the council members. We appreciate the awesome opportunity to be here yet again. The legacy of our children, and I had to bring my sisters up because this is not something that is a solo act. I want to give a nod to my co-founder, who is not here as well, Carla Harris, who works very deeply with our youth program. If we could go ahead and play the 2-minute video, and then I'll just summarize very quickly after.
To love my neighbor. I vow to treat them as I want to be treated. I vow to love and not hate. I vow to spread the seed of positivity. I promise I will not be a part of any violence. I will be an upstander. And if anyone I know holds a gun, I'm going to tell to save their life. This today, on 9/11, I do vow.
Our purpose is so those children that you see in our videos, we don't see diminished from us. As an educator for the Columbus City Schools, I'm seeing way too many of my students former students being lost to violence, whether it's through them being murdered or being the suspect of a murder or the offender of a murder. Somehow, when they leave middle school, something's lost. Even when they go to high school, if the support services aren't in place on a consistent basis, and now we're seeing even younger in middle school, we want to make sure that we utilize our legacy of our children to support youth, first by healing ourselves through our own loss, so we can pour into the mothers of the children that are still living. We just supported the mother who lost 2 of her sons at one time on October 4th in the King Lincoln District. We have to make sure that we are pulling together as organizations that are behind me, as well as working closely with our communities. Community engagement is our foundation. All of the events that you see here is through making sure youth know they're supported. And I think we all know that if we continue to support youth on a consistent basis through community engagement, mentorship, and love, that we can make a difference. We just have to remain diligent and consistent. I had a whole speech, but every time I see this and every time I see them, it goes out the window. So I do apologize.
Well, we certainly thank you for the work that you're doing and appreciate all of it. So again, I wish we didn't need you, but we're very, very happy that you're there and you're filling that need. So thank you.
Thank you. And with all due respect, because there is an organization called Mothers of Murdered Children, I want to respect them. We're Mothers of Murdered Columbus Children, and I just want to give them that respect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Dominic Jones and Keith Massey, and then up next is Erica Golick of Heaven Angel and Nia Branham, excuse me.
Good evening, everyone. I'd be remiss if I didn't show gratitude, love, and appreciation for Melissa and her entire team. We had a chance to march together this summer, an effort just to try to bring awareness to all the gun violence and youth violence. We shut down Livingston Avenue with all of our kids, in junction with them and other youth organizations. So no words for the work that you guys do. We appreciate it. Legacy Youth Academy this summer was a successful summer for us. I'll start off with our 2022 Lead and Inspire Summer Youth Enrichment Program. We served 60 young men, all young men of color in that program. I also note that out of those 60 young men that we served, we had over 340 applicants in like 48 hours. And so due to capacity and other things, facilities, et cetera, we had to stick with that point. But I think just to note that, within 48 hours, we had a lot of interest, a lot of kids that we had to push to other programs too. And then, during that summer program, we focused on tech, real estate, financial literacy, Black entrepreneurship, and more. One of our favorite weeks, some of our kids' favorite weeks from last summer and into this summer was HBCU week. HBCU week is something that, a lot of kids and parents are super interested in. And last year we capped the trip off with going to Howard University. And this year we capped the trip off with taking all 60 of those kids to Atlanta, Georgia, where we visited Morehouse University and Clark Atlanta. During our summer camp, it was important for us this year to make sure that we partner with other organizations around our community that were minority-owned and Black-owned businesses. So pretty much all of our services that we outsourced for our program, from food to guest speakers, et cetera, on down the line, were all minority or Black-owned businesses. Every Wednesday we had a minority-owned or Black-owned food truck come and feed our kids. Food Truck Wednesday, so all of our kids look forward to that. And so we'll look to continue to pour into that as well as we build. Over the summer, we also partnered with the Metropolitan Library. Our first time ever partnering with them. on a summer reading challenge. If we understand the literacy numbers and how it relates to incarceration of our youth, we felt it was appropriate for us to take a deep stab at literacy. If you look at CCS's, trial and tribulations that they have with kids with literacy, it's a huge issue in our community, and we serve about 96% of CCS kids. And we had about 340 students that were able to complete reading logs this summer and receive various prizes. So we'll look to grow that number next year as well. This summer, we also hosted our second annual Dream Big event. We hosted that at COSI. That event focuses on young men and young women of color, grades 6th through 8th. And during that time, we focused on conflict resolution with CPD. They were awesome. We're sending officers over, and it was some real tough and honest conversation with CPD that happened with our young people and giving them a platform to really express themselves. So that was great, and the officers that they sent was great as well. We also was able to create vision boards for our kids and participated in breakout sessions in rooms that talked about various things from, mental health, et cetera. Of those 311 kids, 6th through 8th graders, all 300 of those 11 kids are still actively participating in our youth sports program right now. So I think that's also important to note that, we're touching them obviously in June and July. But here it is, in October and going into November, these kids are still actively participants within our program. And then obviously, one of the things that we have under our umbrella is our youth sports program, which we're currently serving over 2,600 kids in our youth sports program. And again, that ranges from ages 5 through 14. We started June 1st with that, and we'll continue that through November. And that's been a huge success. We'll culminate that with some championship games at Historic Crew this year. So that would be exciting for the kids' first time, and a lot of parents' first time being inside of that building. We also finish out the year with one of our things we just started this year, grades for fades and grades for braids. So essentially just encouraging young men and young women to do great in the classroom. We understand how look and appearance can be challenging for some kids, and so we partner with a lot of barbers with the help of MBK and their team as well, just to get the proper barbers and braiders that we needed for our kids. So I'm excited for that. And then we also have this weekend coming up, our second annual Youth Award Show, which is probably one of my favorite events throughout the entire year. So
you're continuing on.
Yes. So this will be continue on, but I think it started this summer, and all the work that we've been able to do, obviously wouldn't be able to do without you guys. I think we made a certain effort this year to partner with a lot of different people as we continue to grow and expand as well. We appreciate very necessary for us too. So
thank you so much. We appreciate the opportunity to hear from you tonight. Council President.
We're on a roll too. I have to applaud the way we're moving through this. But Dominic, what does expansion look like? What is next? I mean, I'm assuming that this is not a one-off in terms of your request for support from this council and from the city. What would be next? How would you? I mean, hearing that you were able to serve 60 young people, but because of capacity, you had to turn away another 200 or so. What does what is next? What does expansion look like? What worked, what didn't?
Absolutely. I think for us, it's facilities is always adequate facilities. I think is one thing. Getting that stuff locked in a lot earlier, and a lot sooner. I think sometimes when you come into the summer, it's kind of a sprint, so to speak. You kind of don't know what's really ahead, so it's kind of hard to really plan. But I think that we've gained a lot of interest from teachers lately and people who are off in the summertime because of their job. They're like, hey, how can we be involved, with the organization? So I think that if and when had the opportunity to expand, I would love to be on the north side of Columbus, and right now we're specifically on the south side area. But I think that obviously, being able to get the budget to hire more staff, to be able to put, different sides of town, ultimately would be awesome. I think that too, from a capacity standpoint, a lot of our kids are jointly, doing in our summer programs and actively playing sports. So I'm always thinking this year more than ever, I'm thinking about safety and security. How do we provide, at large events like we've had this year more than ever? It's kind of like, we probably got to secure them better, next year. you know, and so, but yeah, I think there's a huge appetite for this. We've also been approached many times about why don't we serve young ladies in the same capacity that we've been focused on young men. A lot of our young men come with sisters. A lot of parents say, hey, well, if I drop my kid off to you in the morning, I would love to drop his sister off, but I got to find somewhere for her to go. So we've also trying to intertwine that aspect next year as well, and, you know, figure out how we do both.
I think it's a good point. You know, I think part of our role and our job is, you know, we have Columbus City Schools, we have our recs and parks. I mean, facilities should not be a prohibitive problem, you know, for any organization out there. And we need to advocate, you know, that our public resources, including our schools, are included in this conversation. So in the summer, especially when they're not being utilized, you know, so I'm more than willing to take up that fight and to work collaboratively with our school board to ensure that happens. Absolutely. But there are a lot of buildings that are sitting empty over the summer that could be utilized, and so I'm saying it publicly right now.
All right,
so,
thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Dominic. Appreciate it. Our next speaker is Ms. Gulick and Ms. Angel for the Cheer Institute. Oh, sorry, Councilmember Basin.
No, I just wanted to make a comment as you guys come on up, and just underscore something before I left, in that we're having this hearing to talk about outcomes and everything, and that's great. And I think a lot of times when we fund these things, we get lost in the application and the metrics and what the outcomes are. But what I've heard from everyone here, and I'm sure it's a continuous theme, is that investing in community, investing in showing our young folks that we love them and that they're cared about is just as important. And those outcomes can't be measured. And I think that I want everyone to understand that the work that you're doing is so critical and so needed. And the other thing that I heard here tonight is partnership. And so I hope that if folks are watching, we talk about this all the time, the Columbus way, public-private partnerships. We need our private partners to come along with us to make this sustainable, to make sure that we continue to invest. It is not just the city's responsibility, it's all of us to create a sense of community. And I truly believe that how we are going to combat our violent crime is not going to be about policing our way out of it. It's not going to be about programming our way out of it. It is going to be about creating a culture in Columbus where we are in community again with one another, where we know who our neighbor is, where we trust one another, where we engage with one another. And you all are doing that groundwork. So I just wanted to make sure that I underscored not just the outcomes and metrics that you all have worked so hard on and continue to work so hard on, but also that underlying theme of community and love for the next generation. So thank you so much for all you guys are doing.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Banks and Ms. Gulick.
Thank you to President Hardin and all the council members. Thank you so much. Again, we're going to continue to say thank you because we were given this opportunity and you guys are seeing the hard work that we are putting in. I brought with me Ms. Heaven Angel. She is one of our senior participants. It was important for me to bring Heaven because she's been with us since the beginning. She is a product of what we have been doing and what we've been working so hard for. So I invited her here with me today. I am the owner of the Cheer Institute, and we are a premier competitive cheer and training facility here in Columbus, Ohio. I make it a point to say that I was an athlete of color who didn't have a lot of resources, and I felt it was really important to come back and train athletes of color, but it has expanded beyond that. It's the inexperienced athlete that also needs the training. We serve athletes from walking with Mommy and Me classes all the way up to the age of 18 through our programming. And this year, due to COVID, we had to get creative. And so we had to start it on Zoom. We started some hybrid programs with your grant. We were able to expand those programs into Parks and Recs. We started at Lennon Community Center and has since gone to the south side. The goal is to continue on the east and west. One of the programs that we were able to start up is Cheer Up Columbus. So obviously we are cheerleaders, and normally you would expect cheerleaders to cheer for sports, but we found it very important to start cheering up Columbus as a whole. And so we took that spin on it, and we partnered with Parks and Recs and planted our hybrid programs right into the neighborhoods that needed it the most. These were programs that not only were they able to take part in the grant that the Parks and Rec was going to give them, but also the grants that we were able to provide. So for little to nothing, for longer weeks, they were able to participate in programmings. We have pre-K programs as well as beginner and intermediate advanced. I also make a note to say that some of these athletes have gone on to switch over to the competitive side. So we're finding those athletes who were, underserved, and they're able to now get the programming and go out and represent themselves as well as their community. We also were able to do in July Cap City Nights. We started the Cheer Up Columbus initiative where we joined in with them. We provided T-shirts. They had a lot of games. It was just celebrating the community. It was a safe event. There were over 300 attendees, 100 shirts given out, and then more importantly, our performers, the athletes that we were able to serve in our hybrid programs got to perform, and so they got to showcase their skills at the event. So we were super excited about being able to do that, and we're going to continue to host these throughout the year. It's not just about the summertime, but people need cheer all throughout the year. So we're going to continue to host many programs in order to cheer up Columbus. We were also able to enhance our internship and mentorship programs. We sent one of our male leaders to join the Columbus Young Professionals Impact Academy, and he was able to bring back what he learned and create a class for the inverse norm, which is 10 young gentlemen. They were able to participate in seminars, roundtables, and networking events to continue to build them up. So that was super exciting. We're going to be graduating our first mini class in winter. And then just like Kevin, we were able to enhance our J-Coach program. This is a junior coach program where they are able to not only gain community service hours, but they're learning techniques, how to effectively spot. They're showing interest in curriculum development when it comes to tumbling and classes and gymnastics. They participate and assist us in our mobile programming, so that way the athletes that are in the community centers can see athletes that look like them that have gone through the program, so they have something to look forward to. We were able to bring on 2 young adults, ages 20 through 24. We were able to add a full-time gym coordinator and also 7 youth staff members ages 12 to 17. So as young as 12, they are leading a classroom, they are participating, they are helping to interact with parents in a professional manner. Our Vfit summer program was something we were excited about. We usually just do summer break school break programs, but we were able to create a full day camp where, again, our J coaches were the leaders. We served 50 athletes ages 5 through 14. They got to participate in a lot of different activities. Parents felt safe dropping their kids off. They knew that they were in a simulating environment. And then we also took advantage of Columbus Library, their culture passes. A lot of people didn't know about these, but they were able to attend many places like the Museum of Arts, Ohio Historical Center at no cost. So again, we were using our resources to continue to expand that. Lastly, we were able to create specific summer trainings for athletes. We did drills, built skills, over 78 athletes ages 5 through 17. We were bringing in people that would help us effectively train them. A big thing in sports is making sure you are progressing correctly, making sure you're safe. And so we made it a point to bring in these people to help them learn how to prevent injuries, learn how to land correctly, learn how to perform skills correctly. We also did a college prep camp where members of former high school cheerleaders, former coaches at universities, and current coaches came in and talked to our athletes about compliance. That's a big thing, about being safe, about being a scholar athlete, as well as the skills that were learned. And then we culminated with Angel Rice. If you don't know her, she's big to us. She's a 2018 USA Gymnastics Power Tumble. They actually came and chose our site for their clinic, and over 35 athletes got to not only participate in getting training from her, they had a meet and greet and was able to attend a Cheer Live event. I know my time is almost up. Hopefully you got to see a little bit on the video, but we are working. We wrap around our services all year. So we start in June and we continue to follow the athletes all the way through May of the following year. We always travel over 100 athletes. They are going across the country competing for Columbus. When they step on the floor, they are representing their community. They are ages 3 all the way up to 18. So yes, 3-year-olds go and they represent Columbus. We find it a point and feel like it's important to not just see them for a little bit of time. We need to see them all the way around. We're supporting them in not just activities, we're supporting them in mental health, we're supporting them in education, we're supporting them in life. So I think it's, again, we're just just cheerleaders for them all the way around. So I thank you for your time. I thank you for your efforts.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate the work that you did. You know, with 78 participants is impressive. I like the fact that you brought up the cultural pass. That is a great program for everyone that's entitled to go in and check these passes out to get to visit Franklin Park Conservatory, to visit the zoo even. And these are all available at the Columbus Metropolitan Library. So thank you for highlighting that.
Absolutely.
Councilmember Favor.
It's more of a comment than a question, but, you know, I think to Mr. Jones' comment that was made earlier in response to Councilman President Hardin's question around what expansion looks like, you know, we've have heard from 5 speakers, and the diversity in the programming that has been offered. We have talked about gardening, we've talked about football, we've talked about lacrosse, we've talked about cheerleading. And 3 of those activities have not traditionally been connected to communities of color. And so I think about the power around this Reimagining Safety Summer Grant opportunity and how we are exposing individuals who may not have had the opportunity in any other capacity to work with someone like you, or to work with Mr. Jones, or to learn how to be a gardener. And we're not even halfway through the speeches at this point. And so I just want to say thank you for living in your purpose, for living in your truth, for taking what you do and committing yourself and providing the opportunity for other young women or folks who identify as women, and I think you all even work with young men as well, to gain this experience and to understand that cheerleading is it's a sport. I was a cheerleader, so I'm a ride for cheerleaders.
My daughters are cheerleaders.
Yeah, but with that being said, I just say thank you, right? And I am excited by the diversity of the programming that we are providing for our youth in the city of Columbus. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Favor. Miss Angel, where do you go to school? What grade are you in?
I am a senior at Fort Hayes, and I'm obviously 12 years old. Not 12, in the 12th grade. I am 17 years old. I'm also the career center for welding, so yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We just wanted to make sure you got a moment. Thank you so much. We appreciate your testimony this evening. Shannon Amos and Scott Neely, you're up. Sean Stevenson, you're up next.
President Hardin and council members, we thank you for inviting us to share and present this evening on how we used our Reimagining Safety Summer Grant funding this year. My name is Shannon Amos. I'm the Vice President of Programs, Children's Hunger Alliance, and with me is Scott Neely, our Senior Director of Government Affairs. So this summer, we primarily used funding from the council to support the distribution of food to children and youth this summer, ensuring that more children and families had access to healthy meals. And many of the partners here and many of the partners that they worked with are those that we provide food to. So we are a support system for many of the youth programs here in Columbus. In Franklin County, we know that over 60,000 children and youth are at risk for experiencing food insecurity, and the summer months can be an additional hardship for children and their families when school breakfast and lunch are not available. Only 10% of children or students who are eligible for the free and reduced price meal program access meals through the USDA Summer Food Service Program during the summer months. Children's Hunger Alliance is one of several sponsors of the Summer Food Service Program in Franklin County, which provides healthy meals to children throughout the summer. But despite efforts to expand the program and maximize participation, we know that gaps in that program still exist and that there are limitations to the access that we can provide. During the last 2 years of the pandemic, we know that USDA provided some waivers that allowed us to provide food distribution with greater flexibility. And chief among these was the ability to provide non-congregate meals. So meaning that children did not have to sit and eat together. Obviously, we did not want that to happen during COVID, but that children could take those meals with them and consume them off-site and take multiple meals and meal types with them back home. The USDA waivers, as this graph shows, made an enormous impact on the access and availability of summer food during the summers of 2020 and 2021. In Ohio alone, this graph shows national data, but in Ohio, the number of meals distributed pre-pandemic in the summer of 2019 was 1.8 million, and in 2019 was 1.8 million, and in 2021, that rose to 5.8 million, so more than 4 million meals. More meals were distributed given the flexibilities of the program. And during this time, CHA was better able to meet food access needs. We were able to do mobile feeding through multiple van stops where we distributed food in the community with multi-day meal packs, including food that was available to children over the weekends, which we know is also where kids experience more food insecurity. Something that's not really available under the summer food service program, the weekend meals. Despite advocacy efforts for this summer, Congress did not reauthorize USDA to extend the waivers prior to the start of summer food service, and we knew that this would have a significant impact on our ability to distribute food. The funding that we received from Columbus City Council allowed us to continue the flexibilities and the additional food distributions above and beyond the summer food service program that we provided in 2019 and 2020. We provided weekend meal boxes for all Columbus City school students to take home who were attending summer school. And we also partnered with many other faith and community-based organizations who were not able to support congregate feeding, but still had food access needs in their communities to allow for food to go home. So again, we just want to take the time to thank you for allowing us to continue the additional food access that we've been able to do when we know that that's such a hardship for families in the summertime.
Yeah, and there's not a lot I can add to what Shannon said, but I just want to extend my thanks as well. President Hardin and Chair Remy and Councilmember Favor, you've all been to our sites, you've all passed out food to the kids. Anytime we've needed your help, you've been there. And we've said, I know our CEO, Judy, has said to you that we only come to ask for funding when we need it. And that's true. In this past summer, we really did need it. So just thank you so much for your help and your support. And we really appreciate it.
I think the other thing to point out is that despite, besides handing out meals, I mean, when you are in full program mode, there's a lot of activities that occur as well. It's not just, it's not just handing a meal out. There are activities to engage the kids and make sure that they're playing together and that sort of thing.
Yes, and that's the nice thing about coming out of COVID is, we can bring some of those in-person programming type of things back and attract participants to come. So not only, are they getting food access, but they're also getting the enrichment programmings and the activities during the summer as well.
Thank you so much for all that you do. Appreciate it. Sean Stevenson, and up beyond that is Zirka Abid.
How you doing, City Council? First, I want to thank you all for having us. My team is in the violence, and what we do, we influence the influencers to work with the youth. I heard a lot of conversation up here tonight about people working with children, but the children are influenced by the adults. In order for the children to get the right influence, they need to have the right influencer with them. And my job is to influence the influencer to teach the children. Why not go down that path? These people that you see standing here with me have backgrounds that are unliked by people in the community, but they're part of the community. They are the community. They make the difference in the community. And this group of people right here, some have murdered, some have been caught, all types of things, but they've changed their life. I sat here and listened to these conversations, and it hurts me so much because y'all do not have an idea what's going on in these communities and how these young kids are affected. They're affected because they mimic things. But we don't have the right leaders out there working with them. And this is what the leaders look like. And they from every race. We employ Mexicans, we employ white people, we employ black people. But what we do is change a person's heart and what they've been living. And you can't do that without the support of the community and y'all. And I thank y'all. And I try to work with different organizations, but a lot of organizations can't tolerate and take what really comes with that. It's a lot of diversity, a lot of strong words, strong actions, Morals, principles, and values is what we stand on. We starting here today, so y'all can see what it looks like. Some of these people, like I said, right here, got pending charges for murder. They've changed their life. Old charges for murder. They changed their life. And I thank y'all because y'all put money behind this. It's creating jobs for them because they can't even go get a job because they got a pending case or an old case. They can't even get an apartment because they had a prior. So the funding that we get ensures that these people are employed so they don't react and do the same thing. Understand? Thank you all for having us. Any questions?
No, thank you very much. We appreciate the work that you do in the community. Council President Hardin.
Well,
Hold on. I think he want to say something.
of course.
I want to say something. Hi. My name is Lloyd Jefferson. I have an extensive, bad criminal background, man, and I'm ashamed of it. I got over 46 years in prison. I've been called everything, and I probably was there. That's the sad part. I came home almost 2 years ago not knowing what I really was going to do because what they call re-entry out here, it don't exist, man. They stealing money, man. I'm telling you. I don't have no teeth in my mouth because I couldn't afford teeth. 46 years in prison, they wouldn't give me a food stamp when I came home. If it don't be for this man here, standing his hand out to me and saying, man, come over here with me, man. You ain't got to go back to prison to feed your family. Because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to feed my family. He works with me. I work with over 60 kids. I promote train boxing. I used to box. Mm-hmm. So I said, I want to utilize my skills. The man here helped support the gym. The man helped support me. I'm going to do my part. I'm not going to let my family down no more. I don't even know y'all, man, but I respect y'all. I got all respect in the world for taking your time out to hear what we got to say, what some people consider, you understand, is people are untouchable. Huh. You know, they thought I couldn't be touched. They didn't think that I could change. Man, I got a heart, man. I put my pants on just like you. My heart beat just like yours do, man. Yes. And I got compassion. I love kids. And I love y'all, man. Thank you. Please get us some money to help us, man. Please.
Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you.
Mr. Stevenson, I have a question for you, though.
Yes.
One, I want to say thank you for the work that you're doing. I was kind of following up from, I think Councilmember Favor did a good setup for this, because tonight has been about diversity in programming. We see the whole spectrum from cheerleading to what you're doing, and for a couple of council members who've been able to come out and see your work in action, it's not clean, it's not pretty, but it's meeting people where they are and serving the community. And so these grants, when we talk about the resources that we put out in the streets, we have to understand it's the entire spectrum. And to know that we have folks out doing work that we know other folks can't do or aren't doing, that has to be acknowledged and recognized. And this council is appreciative. I'll ask you the same question I asked DJ, though. What would expansion look like? If there were more resources, or, you had the ability, what would more look like?
More people who are coming out into society, having a second chance, staying out here. Remember, our prisons are full, our jails are full. They're coming home. If we don't have something in place, one takes another. Okay. In order for this to expand, we need JAWS assistance, the mayor's assistance, and everybody else's.
Thank you.
Councilmember Favor.
Yeah. Hi. I had a background a while back, but a couple of months ago I came and started working with Sean. I'm a certified life coach. And initially, I was one of those people that judged these people. I was like, this is a little scary. But what I realized is that everybody needs to be rehabilitated in some way, but it takes transformation from the inside out. And a lot of these people don't even, before you start speaking to their passion, they don't even know that it exists within them. So I started talking to him about, you guys remember the DARE program that we had in school? I was like, what if we had a program, and there's so many of us who have been through violence. Bullying starts in school. So being able to go into a community or into a school and showing them skits of what, I went to school and I have a background in broadcasting. What would it look like to have a scenario of kids that are people that have backgrounds that are showing what kids start off as bullying, what it exceeds to, because at the end of the day, that's where it starts at. It starts in the school. And so if we come up with programs and things like that, and I've been working with him to do that, to come up with things that transform the mindset of the children, because they see this is what you could be versus this is where you are right now, you know? So that's kind of what we've been working on. And a lot of these people have a really good heart, and they just need somebody to see that and to be able to put in a place of leadership where they can actually expand on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Favor.
So, Mr. Stevenson, you know, we met long before I was ever thinking about sitting in this seat. And your passion and your commitment to our community has never wavered. You have dedicated your life to this work, and it has never been the Shawn Stevenson show. You continue to bring people into the fold. You continue to think outside the box, and that's what it's going to take to reach the hearts and minds of people in our community. I don't believe anyone is too far gone, ever. We are a product of our environment. But when we love on each other, when we see each other for who we really are, things change. And it may not look like change as people want to see, but we know that things are moving. Things are shifting, but they cannot shift without you all. So I tell this gentleman, thank you all the time, but real talk, I'm saying thank you to each and every one of you, because you are healing through your own trauma. You are reaching out to our young folks as you are continuing to work on yourself. And you don't have to do that, but you recognize that our people are on the line, that our generations that are on the line, and that this work extends far beyond just us individually. This is about the collective. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Favor. Thank you, Shawn, and all of you for the work that you're doing. Next, we have Zerka B. John Dawson, you're up next.
Good afternoon. This is very hard to follow this. I am very emotional, and your remarks were profound. Thank you so much for saying what you just said. Thank you so much, Councilmember. President Hardin, Chair Remy, Councilmember Favor, and all of my colleagues here. Zerka Abid from My Project USA. I am very emotional, but I would love to first of all, congratulate City Council for investing in so many youth in so many different ways. Without your support, my youth could not be where they are right now. My organization wouldn't be where we are right now. So I really will always say that Columbus City Council has made a major difference on the west side of Columbus and Hilltop area. This summer, unfortunately, we had to deal with some very serious matter, but still we were able to serve 130 youth who participated in our summer program. Especially in the soccer program, that was the main investment we received from City Council. Our U16 team went in 4th of July weekend. They went to Kentucky and they won an international championship there. Our U10 team just recently has also won our Barcelona United tournament just recently. Girls soccer and basketball, girls basketball program also started this summer that we are very excited about. On the academic side, we had a greater support from ODE that we combined our council money with the ODE grant, and we were able to provide a thorough programming. We were able to hire about 30 staff members who were given 3D printing, community gardening, morale, art projects, drones, robots. Our students learned coding. They were able to do Apex programming. They were able to participate in Heroes League, in which they were actually learning coding, but they didn't know they were playing games. So a lot of work was being done during summer. Even though we were not able to get additional spaces, we were just able to use our youth center into 3 different time zones. We divided it, and we were able to use the space to multiply the effort. Unfortunately, as you know, on July 22nd, we lost Isa Jilani to gun violence, our 16-year-old champion. That really disrupted a lot. My youth, my soccer team, many of us went into trauma and a lot of disruption in our programming. We canceled our youth league that we do in summer, and last year we were able to engage 500 children, but we canceled it, we couldn't do it. We have hired security guards for the field now. That's an additional expense, but we had to do it. Our parents were very nervous now. We have provided support to all youth. The mental health support money that was additional recently that we received from City Council is also going to help us. We are hiring a social worker, case manager to support that. We took the families to a state fair, and that really helped because the families needed some kind of break and some positivity. So we did that in summer. On the leadership side, we received grant from Y2Y, Youth to Youth, ADAMH, and Women's Fund of Central Ohio. So 32 youth participated in leadership pilot program in which they did community service and they also did leadership trainings. They organized a community festival. They were kind of organizer first time, many of them. They received stipends from the money that we were able to receive from ADAMH. We were able to give them stipends. One thing that we learned this year, and I wanted to bring to City Council, is that many of our high school youth will not participate in programming unless there is some kind of money attached because their parents are extremely poor and they want their children to work and get some money back. So even though I had this awesome programming, I did not put stipends in the grant applications. It was very hard for me in the first part of summer. And then ADAMH, I was able to talk to them and they provided me that internship dollars that I could use. And then I was able to bring 32 youth in the program, which was very helpful. And now today is the first day that some of my youth are attending a Youth to Youth Franklin County meeting in which they will be participating with more youth. The last thing that is very important is that we have signed 2-year contract with 5 close friends of Isa Jilani. They are all 16, 17, or 15-year-old. One of them used to be in juvie for 2 years. He has been out now. He is one of the best U16 Central Ohio player for soccer. The other one was at the verge of joining a gang, and he's also a champion. So these 5 young men will be supported with this investment of about $20,000 per year per student, and we are able to combine resources from Youth to Youth, the ODE grant from other, and the money from City Council to put them into different programmings and also give them some stipends so they can continue working and they are committed. So this is my little report about what we have done in my project USA this summer.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate the work that you're doing on the west side. We were just out there for the mural dedication. It's a good point about the stipends and expecting that especially high school children will just, get involved in an activity and not getting paid when they need it at home. So we're hearing you. We want to talk further with that with other organizations as well and make sure that we're acknowledging that is an issue. Appreciate your time this evening, and thank you for all that you do, Zerka.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Dawson, and then we have Gene Tucker after that. Gino Tucker, excuse me.
Good evening. I want to start with thanking you, President Hardin, Council Chair Remy, Councilmember Favor. I'm thanking you for not only the support of C&D, but the support of the community in which you all each focus on different areas, collectively all necessary. This time last year, we talked about broadening youth's abilities to realize that there's more to life than what's in their communities. And I talked about exposing them to different activities that they normally wouldn't be able to experience in the course of a day, a week, month, or a lifetime in some cases. And we did that, and what we realized was the more we kept kids busy, the more we interacted with them on a daily basis, the better they were, the more excited about life they were. I was in a meeting earlier today where the word hope kept coming up, and we see hope when we're interacting with these youth, again, in ways that I would call normal, but they're abnormal in their societies. So C&D introduced youth to social, emotional, recreational activities this summer. The summer began with engaging trips to Cedar Point, Kings Island. The group then began weekly incentive activities such as bowling and skating. Once we got the youth to working and participating in summer engagement activities, our staff began to work with youth on personal hygiene, grooming, and even pampering for our ladies. The young men received haircuts, young ladies got their hair braided. Young ladies also received pampering activities such as manicures and pedicures. During and after each activity, the staff of C&D would do check-ins with each youth that generated discussions. The staff would have prepared topics for discussions if youth did not provide something. But what we really wanted is to know where you're at, what's going on with you, and how we can help you. This summer, we observed that if a youth is engaged with positive older adults, and this is from the Search Institute's 40 developmental assets, older adults, activities, and peers who share the same value, they will stay out of trouble. We monitored each youth that participated for maladaptive social behavior, and we did not have one youth get in trouble this summer. Community for Direction employed 18 youth during the summer break. We currently have youth that are still employed, and we're seeking other employment opportunities for other youth. All youth are participating in an evidence-based 14-week job readiness program. So they come into the shop weekly and learn new or become better prepared to be an employee somewhere. We introduce youth to college life and taking them to OSU versus the University of Toledo game, shortly followed by an OSU campus tour. So not just to have fun watching a game, but then to also understand that you too can go to college. As you can see from the employment, various activities, and time spent with older adults outside of the home, we met the goal of keeping youth engaged this summer. And we hit all three: social, emotional, and recreational learning. Our goal, or the name of this year's program, was C&D Summer Engagement. I see it from almost 30 years of working in the field. We develop habits, And the more we work with children in positive and expose them to positive activities, even if they can't afford it or their families can't, to keep it going, it's something that they thrive for. They now have knowledge of something that they didn't before. We take kids, just a couple weeks ago, they went to Polaris, and we had a child say, I've never been to Polaris. And there's many stories like that. The following were employment work sites this year. Our own summer day camp, Friendship Baptist Missionary Church, Tatum Landscaping, Bub's Clubhouse Daycare. We also took them to museums, Buckeye Raceway, Scene 75. They did an overnight to talk about coping skills. They did a cooking class. Everyone needs to be self-sufficient in the kitchen.
Absolutely.
Candle making, multiple dining experiences. So we looked at the whole person, and we continue to do that. The council, I believe, knows that our agency has been in business for 33 years. And we started in a 2-bedroom apartment in Sullivan Gardens. So we've grown tremendously, and youth has always been our focus. So we consider ourselves professionals. We appreciate your help, and I won't keep you any longer.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dotson. We know how much you've meant to this community over the past 33 years, and certainly continue to do so with this work. And so we thank you so very much for this work.
Thank you.
Next, we have Gino Tucker and then Jenna Wojcik. I see Director Stapleton out there, and thank you for coming tonight. I know we have lots of people here from Rexham Park too, listening in, and all the wonderful work that you do with these organizations and throughout for our youth. We appreciate you being here this evening.
Thank you, City Council. First off, y'all have been one of my major supporters since I started this. I always want to come here and say thank you. What you have in front of you is a handout of the PowerPoint as well as a expense report for our summer. Urban Scouts Summer 22. So our program objectives was really to offer an 8-week comprehensive program to 40 youth. We met that goal. We served 37 that stayed and retained. Really to teach them on-the-job training in cosmetology, intro to braiding, as well as landscaping. These are 2 trades that are loosely regulated, to say the least. At the age of 16, young ladies can get certified and work inside of hair salons, and there's really no regulations on what age a young man or a woman can start landscaping. So we wanted to make sure that we provide them with the skills needed, the curriculum, and hands-on experience to be able to learn how to do it in the field, and see how it feels to them. They also developed soft skills where we taught them how to engage with the customers. They worked out of a hair salon, and we provided free landscaping services in Milo for them to just build, understand how to work and engage with the customers, and how to respect your community. We wanted to make sure that we put a heavy emphasis on mental health in Urban Scouts. We do weekly support groups where we hire counselors to come talk to our young people about the 8 dominant traits and factors of trauma and how to better cope with that inside your neighborhood, inside your house, inside your school. And really build a sense of pride. Urban Scouts has always been taking care of the community. We make sure we clean up our streets. I tell the people all the time, if you want to say it's your hood, take care of your hood. So we make sure that the kids out there are cleaning up and they get to see the benefits of that. So some of our program accomplishments: 20 young men, 20 young women enrolled. We kept 37 young people. 65% of our young men and women attended Columbus City schools. 100% of the participants increased their social emotional understanding. So we did on a scale of 0 to 10. This time we did evaluations every session just to see how they took it. And every student increased their social emotional understanding and intelligence by a minimum of 1.5 points. They They all completed 50 hours of on-site training, either at the hair salon or in landscaping, which turned around and we provided free landscaping to 10 residents for the last 4 weeks of the program. And the residents loved it. The kids loved it. They was excited. They was like, yes. What else on here? We collected over 50 bags of trash. So this was the kids' least favorite day. And I told them, like, I love y'all, but if y'all don't come back, if y'all don't come on Thursdays, don't come back. Because taking care of your community is part of what we do. So the first Thursday, I'm like, man, ain't nobody gonna show up. Every kid showed up. After they did it, I'm like, the second Thursday, they not gonna show up. Every kid showed up. They complained, but they went out there and picked up the trash. And by the end of the program, we realized, and my brother Manny back there, as Nick, Councilmember Nick talked about, we did partnerships with Milo Rec Center to host our program. And by the end of that time, the 50 bags we collected, when we went out for the last day, we had to look and find trash. The kids was like, oh my God, the neighbors was coming out, giving them free pop, free waters, giving them snacks, giving them money. And the young people appreciated the opportunity to see their community show that pride to them. So for landscaping, they basically learned the basics of landscaping, how to do a proper landscaping maintenance, how to weed, how to mow, how to pull weeds, really the business of landscaping, the safety around it. A lot of times people just get out there and think they can cut grass. I didn't know until I started this, you're supposed to cut the yard a different way every time. So teaching the young people the curriculum and then putting it in practice for the last 2 weeks, they loved it. They learned how to take a lawnmower out the box, put it together so that way when they do start their own business and relatively cheap for about $500, they know how to do everything. Braiding, as you've seen, this is our braiding class. This is major to me. This is our second year doing it. And as you see, them kids was getting chartered out in a nice bus, thanks to y'all. But they really got to gain the experience I wanted them to see last year. So they got to learn how to add hair, how to make their own oils, understanding how and what shampoos to use to keep people from hair from being damaged or the diseases that could potentially be in their hair, different braiding techniques. They all walked away with mannequins. They all walked away feeling confident that they now know how to braid and can make money braiding. They talked about shop etiquette, how to behave inside of a shop, how to change the stigma of being gossipy and just really be real professional to where your customers want to come back. And how to do income projections. It's very important to know how much money you want to make, how long it's going to take to get there, and what you need to get it. And as my son said, so everyone, this is Lil Gino, as he said, some of them actually started braiding hair and making money off of it, created their own Instagram pages to promote themselves, and it really took off for some of them. The community cleanups, it was a quick picture up there about went over, we did 50 bags. The community really enjoyed it. The kids didn't so much, but they benefited from it. Community events, we were blessed to be invited to the groundbreaking of Hudson Street. And we rode bikes up there. We took that time to do a bike ride with our young people. And we had 15 young people ride up there. It was a great experience. I don't think I ever seen that many young black people at a groundbreaking actually breaking the dirt with the city council, with the mayor. That was a just phenomenal experience for our young people. They loved it. And some of them got interviewed. He was one of them. I don't know why. And then we, President Hardin, you said that you wanted to see his work with the Fashion Alliance. So we made sure we connected with them and went to their merch giveaway. We brought 40 young people out there to get free merch, and we're now working with them to see how they can help design some of our clothes for next year.
I think the impact that you're making and the vast amount of, there's a lot of different things there. Really impressive, and we appreciate the work that you're doing in that regard. I wanted to point out a little bit about the cleanup piece of it because, as an environmental chair, I think people dread the idea potentially of going out and that picking up the trash and everything. But when you're there and you're in the moment,
It's better than you think.
it is a lot better. And the community aspect of it, and then the accomplishments that you achieve when you see the results at the end of the day, after you got all those bags piled up, it makes a big difference. And so
Kids, they didn't like it, but they love the feeling that they had afterwards.
yeah. Well, we definitely appreciate you, and thank you for the work that you've been doing. We look forward to talking with you about continuing
Thank y'all.
support.
Y'all have a good one. Any questions?
Not a question, Chair, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, President.
I just, I'm always blown away by Gino because we've been around long enough where I've seen where you started at and where you're at now. And just your impact is real. Your passion is obvious. And I mean, the gulf again from where you started to where you are right now. I know you didn't do it by yourself. There are a lot of other organizations and folks who have mentored you so that you can have this type of impact. But it really is mind-boggling to me just to see this impact, and it really gets me excited because I think about Columbus 10 years from now and 15 years from now, and who are going to be those trusted leaders that are out there. We see Mr. Dawson now. And he talks about 33 years of history. This is this is the legacy that you're starting. This is the track. This is what you are doing. This is who you will be for an entire side of town, maybe for the entire city. But it is.
Next year.
Well, there you go.
We're coming out there.
There you go.
I appreciate the support and
keep
the
it up.
words, and I'm glad you got to see it from day one to. You ain't going nowhere. You'll see it in fruition as far as we go. Thank y'all. And appreciate
Yeah, thank you so much. I agree with you, Council President. We watch you grow, and it's really impressive. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chairmember Remy, I did want to.
Sure, Councilmember Rosa De Padilla, coming in hot.
I know. I wanted to. Well, it's hard in the virtual space. I'm finding out now, but I'm glad I got to listen to this. I just also wanted to comment on Gino's program because as y'all know, I got my start as a city year core member where we did lots of physical service projects. And I think that there's a gratification that comes even when you're doing a community cleanup. Like you see the impact, you see the difference when you're working out in the community and you can start on a project and you can see the progress that you're making. And I think, you said something that really resonated and I think is important to just elevate as we think about the different programming. As Councilmember Favor said, I think that you have to find the thing that moves you, right? Young people, whether it's sports or whether it's gardening or whether it's service, right? But the thing that you said around if you're going to call it your hood, then you need to invest in that. And I think giving young people that opportunity to have that real ownership over the place that they live, the fact that you had young people out at the Hudson Street groundbreaking, that this is a main thoroughfare in their neighborhood that connects two sides of the neighborhood and that they are part of that and that they could be part of it, that literally breaking ground on a project that will connect the neighborhood and that they're there and that they're seen and that they're heard and that the news is talking to them. All those things are so important to elevate our young people and elevating their efficacy and their love of community. So I just wanted to commend you on the breadth of opportunities that you're giving our young people and how you're thinking about elevating them and really truly putting them out in their neighborhood, in their hood, and having them have ownership over it.
Thank you for those words. I appreciate you too, Councilwoman.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Rosa De Padilla. Jenna Wojak, you're up next. I did want to acknowledge Manny Clark, our Director of Apps Program. Thank you so much for being here this evening. We appreciate the work that you've been doing in our community. Good evening.
Hi. Tonight has been good for my heart. It's been fantastic to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak about our program. I promised Ms. Frank I'd keep it tight. Congratulations on your stamina. I do believe that you have a one-page about the program, so I'm happy to talk about any questions that might come up. But my name is Jenna Vojdach. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the Director of Education for Planned Parenthood of Greater Ohio. Our department is called the Ohio Center for Sex Education, so that's what you're going to probably hear over and over. And generous funding from the city allowed us to lift up a program called YES, the Youth Empowerment Skills Program, a unique collaboration between Celebrate One, Nationwide Children's Hospital, and the Ohio Center for Sex Education. For 8 weeks, 44 hours, Franklin County youth, ages 14 to 19, received training in, talk about diversity, sexual health education, and life skills and employment skills. So it seems sort of a hard connect for a lot of people, but it's not. 25 years into sexual health, and I can make a connection in every way, shape, and form for you. And so what we're talking about is talking about reproductive life planning and how that impacts your goals and job prospects and where you want to go and where you're hoping to take this. The generous city funding allowed us to create this summer program that actually continues and enhances our year-long programming throughout the schools. We're able to stay consistent with youth, and we see siblings and years in the same family of kids that are engaging in these programs. We talk about communication, healthy relationships, empathy, talking about staying healthy and making the best choices that we can for ourselves, and talking with respect to youth about their own autonomy. That's where we come from. When we are reimagining community safety, we're talking about community care. And it's allowing young people to know that they have a stake in it, that they're responsible for participating in community care in every way they can. One of the most important points in our program is that incentive piece. This funding has allowed us to incentivize participation in this program, and what we see is the pride of earning, of ownership of their time. One of my favorite things that happened this past summer was a text I got from a mom saying, my 15-year-old just took me out on a date with the incentive money that they earned in our program. And it was just, it's those things that matter to us. We had over 160 applicants. We are limited to a capacity of 50 participants. We would love to continue and grow that. One of the unique things about our program is that it was offered virtually, because what we know from our youth are barriers about transportation all summer long. And so with the funding, we were able to meet sort of digital divide concerns and provide folks with the technology that they needed to engage. And then we were also, there were a couple of efforts at in-person engagement. One of our deliverables, which was lovingly foisted upon us by the director, was a public speaking opportunity. And so we had youth, we gave them a scaffold for a sexual health presentation. They worked on it in small groups in participation with, or in collaboration with C1. We looked for other summer youth programming and had audiences, and our kids got up there and did their little public speaking for many of them for the first time. And they glowed, they loved it. It's hard, and they know it can change their trajectory, and we're just so grateful for your commitment. For us, that's what reimagining safety is.
Thank you so much. We appreciate the work that you do.
Thanks.
We have no public speakers or written testimony this evening, so we will move into closing remarks. Do any of my colleagues have anything? Councilmember Favor? Council President, would you like to say a few words? Yeah, Director Clark, would you like to come up and talk a little bit about the apps programs that you're here? Put you on the spot? I have to say that on Friday nights, we take my kids to one of the rec centers, and your apps people have been phenomenal in work, just entertaining, basically, I would say. Yeah, doing bracelets, playing PS4, just a variety of different things. And it's just impressive to see, them being involved with the youth in our community. So I thank you for that.
We appreciate that. I would like to introduce Dawn Turnage. She is the new Assistant Director over Youth Development and Apps. So she brings a wealth of knowledge from the city of Youngstown, where she was the Director of Recreation and Parks. So as she comes, she's given us a wealth of knowledge and information, because they did have a lot of the similar services in terms of intervention, in terms of the academy that she did for
our swim academy that was created for Youngstown Youth Academy for swimming, and we were one of the few in Youngstown area to have lifeguards with no problems. We had 17 on staff, and even shared our lifeguards through that academy.
And that's one of the areas that we suffered this past summer that she's going to help us grow in. So in terms of youth development, just going to give you guys a few things. I don't want to take up your time. What was known as We Care where we gave totes out into communities over the past several years. This past summer, we distributed 355 totes with essential items and resources to homes. And we changed that because we're not in COVID anymore. We were going to neighborhoods and actually dropping those totes off to families. This year, we did do a couple of tours, but we found it more necessary that we found parents and families through community centers. As they were coming in, they needed the information and they were picking up totes. So now we distribute totes through community centers and through small businesses to make sure that the people who are out here looking for them and those we may not identify their neighborhoods can get the same access. In those totes, we gave over 3,500 items that were contained, and that was school supplies, sports supplies, hygiene, and similar items. So we did a backpack giveaway. We partnered with Columbus City Schools on August 20th to on their back to school resource fair, and at that event we gave over 50 backpacks away filled with school supplies. Plus, we gave information about some of the things that we're doing to change the already popular APPS program. We are actually fostering a program with Ms. Turnage called Preschool to Professional, where we identify the gaps that currently were identified in the whole Department of Recreation and Parks. So in past history, we started with Capital City Kids, CWOW, and it was a few other like daycare programs like what used to be in Linden and Marion Franklin, and we would carry those young people up to age 12. After that, we didn't have anything similar or serviceable until they came to the APPS program at age 14. So that 12 to 14 age group really was not targeted, and as other people have said, and Councilperson Remy talked about earlier today, that's the age group that's the crime is raising in. So we've re-identified that with city leaders, CWOW, teen programming, and counselors in training. The second half was ages 16 to 18, which was a group in terms of teens, pretty much age where young people started to ask certain questions and they wanted a certain level of freedom that wasn't identified in community centers. So with the same preschool to professional program, we're actually reaching out to businesses, the trades unions, Columbus State, Ohio State, to continue to have programs so we don't lose those young people. So we're actually going to have the ability to actually keep families with young people interested from age 6 all the way to age 24.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Is there any questions? I got a.
I know, you could go on and on. We appreciate that.
But just to let you guys know, we are doing some rebranding. We are doing some recreating of services, not to lose anything that's been popular that we've had throughout the years. However, going back to what we said, we want to close some of the gaps that have been historic throughout Rec and Parks history.
And we thank you for that. I need to speak with you because we are meeting at the end of the month with Red Cross to work on a program with a stipend or a whatever for lifeguards for next year. And so we will work collaboratively with you to come up with a robust program so we don't have what we had this last summer.
Can I say one other thing, please?
Sure.
Through Milo Grogan, and you were part of this when you saw some of our teams go through our new, as of the last 2 years, golf program. That golf program actually turned out to have 7 young people, which we brought into the APPS Job Readiness Program. And they actually are pretty much creating a program that we'll be able to duplicate for her program and any other sports program, whereas we're identifying jobs in terms of different sports where you don't actually have to be able to play the sport. Other jobs in that area that these young people can move towards in the future.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
I do want to acknowledge or just make sure that my Councilmember Barossa de Padilla, do you have any further comments you'd like to make before we close out?
Nope.
All right, thank you. Thank you guys
Thank you,
both.
guys.
See you. Okay. I'd like to end this hearing by thanking each of our presenters this evening. We all know that our youth are our future leaders, and it's critical that we come together to give them all options, resources, and the redirection they may need. Thank you to each of you for your work in preparing for this hearing. I do have to say it was not intentional that we had such a wide diversity of presenters this evening, but it really shows how deep the stretch, or how stretched we were in so many different facets in our community. And I think it's very important to acknowledge that, because it does take us digging deep like that and focusing on many different areas in order to make a difference. And so we will continue to do this. We will continue to look for ways that we can expand this type of programming throughout our community. We know that our youth deserve this, and they deserve it on an ongoing basis. So thank you once again. I also want to thank Zach Davidson, Chris Maitland, Jason Jenkins, Director Carla Williams Scott, and countless others who help navigate these grants and get the funding into the hands of our partners. Thank you to John Oswald, our Legislative Research Office, my team, Jeffrey Carter, Lucy Frank, and our wonderful interns, Ada Jenkins, Nia Hairston, and Communications, Mark Carter with Technology, and the CTV team for their assistance in preparing for this hearing tonight. I also want to thank the community for their support and for tuning in to tonight's hearing. Stay safe and have a great evening, and everyone. That concludes our hearing this evening. Thank you.